But first, the Australian equine industry has been rocked by a record number of cases of the deadly Hendra virus. Yesterday's revelation of another case in New South Wales brings this year's total to 7. 5 are in Queensland. An army of researchers is racing to uncover the clues that might help stop the virus in the future. But while that work continues, vets and horse owners on the front line are calling for backup. Kathy McLeish reports.
It's a season like no other.
Certainly something is happening out there that for some reason the chances of horses getting Hendra virus appear to have increased.
In Queensland and New South Wales, 7 horses are dead. 42 are being monitored. And in this state, 18 people who have been exposed will now wait for up to 6 weeks before they can be given the all clear.
Well, it's frightening. This is just when's it all going to stop and who's next?
Dr. David Lovell has seen Hendra virus before. He owns the Redlands Veterinary Surgery where vet Dr. Ben Canine died after handling infected horses in 2008.
And all these individual people that are going through what we went through in our situation, I know exactly, it's just terrible for them.
Dr. Peter REID has seen the Hendra virus throughout its development. He was one of the vets involved in the first case of Hendra virus when horse trainer Vic Rail died.
We know it's one of the worst viruses in the world. It's what they call a Category C virus in the United States for potential use as a bioterrorism thing. So it's really nasty. And it's thought of as even being more infectious and pathogenic than Ebola virus.
They're part of a biosecurity equine industry group that liaises with government on the horse industry. And right now, Hendra virus is the major issue on the table.
It really is worrying for the profession that we're at the coal front. We're called out to look at sick horses, and that almost every human that's been infected has been part of the veterinary industry and or associated with the veterinary industry. So that's a pretty narrow group.
The Australian Veterinary Association says equine vets are under pressure and is calling for backup and additional funding from government.
Our profession is under-resourced as far as looking at an outbreak of this extent. And veterinarians need support from the government to pay for the protection equipment we have to use, for the time we have to take to go onto farms to look at horses, also for certain laboratory dispatching costs. There are many on-costs at looking at suspect animals with infectious disease, and these are not supported by the government at this stage.
Biosecurity Queensland says that's not being considered.
Dealing with Hendra virus by vets is an occupational hazard for those vets. If they're dealing with horses, part of their business is to have personal protective equipment. I don't think it's appropriate to ask government to provide that for them.
The more money you pay, the better protected you are, because the better quality gear and equipment you've got. And I guess, I'm sorry, but I get a little upset to see all these quarantine workers on the government officials at the quarantine sites, all walking around with excellent gear on, and they're probably at a lower risk than the practitioner that goes out to see the ordinary horse.
The biggest challenge for experts, authorities and the industry is just how little is known about the Hendra virus. Since the first case in Hendra in 1994 until the beginning of this season, there were just 14 cases of the virus, and of the 7 human infections, 4 people had died. The pressing issue now is how to prevent the spread of the virus in the future. Work is underway to fast-track the long-awaited Hendra virus vaccine, and that could be available before the next Hendra season. But authorities warn vaccines aren't infallible, and Hendra will always be a risk, making prevention practices critical.
And we want estimated dry matter yield.
Horse owners on the liaison group want equine industry knowledge incorporated into Hendra research.
They focus on the bats. They focus on what's happening with the bats, where the bats are flying, what they've done, where they've defecated. They're not focusing on what did the horse do, what did the people do that control the horse.
Dale Anderson and Kent Wells say an in-depth understanding of horse and property management could play a large part in preventing the virus being transferred from bats to horses. Members of the industry have developed a questionnaire to build a bank of knowledge from infected properties.
Are horses foraging underneath these trees because they're a bit hungry? Has there been a rain event? Was it cold and wet? And do they need to be provided shelter away from trees to stop them going underneath trees and foraging?
While they applaud the work that's being done by Biosecurity Queensland, they say the government should be doing more for one of the state's largest industries.
We don't have a horse industry liaison officer permanently in DPI, and we're a billion-dollar industry.
The Chief Veterinarian, Dr Rick Simmons, says he will welcome the input.
Yes, indeed, because I think that is part of the research. I mean, one of the aspects that we're looking at is the infrared photography of the bats and also looking at the behaviour of horses at night. Part of that is we have seen that horses do graze at night and they do graze under trees at night. And so the role of the horse is very important. So any extra information on what horses do is very useful information.
What we should be aiming for, that we never ever see another human case of Hendra virus. That is the key issue, and the steps we've got to do to make sure it never happens again.